Welcome back to Transformation Talks. We are diving deep today, and after the Amen exploration to the powerful source material from Transformation Ministries' own Pastor Lenore West.
It's always great to get into these. Pastor West, she just has this gift for taking these really big theological ideas and, making them practical, making them something you can actually use.
Absolutely. And our mission today is to really get into her recent sermon, Impregnated with Hope. It was from January 4th. And what we have here is, it's basically a masterclass, a roadmap for understanding hope and faith as we head into this new year.
Before she even got to the main point, the way she started was just incredible. It wasn't a normal welcome. It was this high-energy, ecstatic declaration about making it through 2025.
Yeah.
It set the whole foundation.
Yeah.
She was establishing God's character before she even presented a single new concept.
That opening was so key. She was just praising God as, wonderful, almighty, omnipresent, omniscient, omnipotent.
All of it.
All of it. Promise keeper, way maker, the light in the darkness. She was basically saying, look, if you doubt anything else, don't doubt the character of the one you serve.
And that wasn't just for show. It served a really direct, immediate purpose. Because if God is all those things, if he's totally reliable,
Right.
then the only logical next step is that we're called to trust him with everything. Not just the easy stuff, but, our life, our messy finances, our kids, our health.
Our minds.
That's a big one. It
Yeah.
is. And that level of trust, that's the bedrock. The whole sermon is built on that one idea.
Okay, so let's unpack this. She posed that central question that I think so many of us have. If hope and faith are so similar, what's the real difference? And the analogy she used, the pregnancy analogy, it was brilliant.
It was. It clarified the whole process of spiritual conception so perfectly. She defined hope not just as, a feeling,
Right.
but as the seed itself, the embryo. It's that confident expectation that something good is going to happen. It's the vision that anchors you while you're waiting.
The potential. But potential needs something to activate it. And that's where she brought in faith. Faith, she said, is the male seed, the sperm.
Exactly. It's the activating agent. Faith is that radical trust in God and his word, believing even when you can see absolutely no evidence for it.
The distinction is crucial then. Hope is the vision. Faith is the action that causes the conception.
Without faith, that seed of hope, that promise that just dissipates. It never actually takes root. So hope tells you where you're going, but faith gives you the why, the assurance. It's the foundation.
So if you're listening and you feel like you have all these dreams, all this potential, but nothing ever seems to happen, this sermon is suggesting you might have the seed of hope, but you're missing that activating agent of faith.
That's it, exactly. You're holding a blueprint, but you don't have the trust or the energy to start building.
Right.
The goal isn't just wishful thinking. It's being, like she said, impregnated with fresh hope, a divine deposit from God.
So once that's established, the natural next question is, okay, how do you know? How do you know when that process has actually started? Which brings us to conception and activation.
And she was so clear on how it happens. She said spiritual conception takes place in your spirit when the specific word for you is preached or read or prophesied.
And she used the ultimate example, didn't she? Luke 1:45. Blessed is she that believe, for there shall be a performance. Mary is the prime example. She conceived because she believed the word spoken to her.
The word literally overshadowed her. The mechanism for activation is right there in Romans 10.1c. Faith comes by hearing. God's promises actually carry creative power in them. They're designed to fertilize the hope that's already inside you.
And this is where she connected it to our reality, to the practical. She talked about the need for substance, the means you need to actually perform the hope you've conceived. She used Deuteronomy 8.18, where God gives the power to get wealth.
Yes, and this part was so good because she challenged the idea that wealth is just money.
Right, it's not just cash.
Not at all. The wealth God gives you might be knowledge, information, healing, or the wisdom you need to execute the promise.
That's such a critical distinction. It means we have to be active seekers. If your hope is to start a business, the wealth you need might be, a business class or information on marketing.
Exactly. Or you're praying for healing, and the wealth God gives you is the wisdom to find the right doctor or the information to change your diet. It's the capacity you need to perform the hope. It challenges us to get moving.
Which raises this really powerful paradox she brought up. When is hope needed most.
Hmm.
Because if you already have everything lined up, you don't really need hope, do you?
That's what she emphasized. Hope shows up most powerfully when things look utterly hopeless. It lives in the impossible,
Yeah.
where logic just completely runs out.
It's that Romans 8.24 idea. If you can see it, you don't need to hope for it. Hope is for the gaps. And that's why she brought up Abraham.
Of course, Romans 4.18. Against hope, believed in hope. I mean, think about it. He and Sarah were biologically impossible candidates. It made no sense. But the seed of hope was there, and his faith activated it, even when all the evidence screamed no.
Okay, so that brings us to the next part, which I found fascinating. Section 3, the spiritual symptoms. She compares them to physical pregnancy symptoms. The first one she talked about was increased sensitivity.
This is a big one. It's that newborn desire for the word from 1 Peter. It means you start listening for God everywhere, not just on Sunday.
Right, you're suddenly hyper aware, a lyric in a song, something a friend says, even like she said, a bumper sticker, it lights up.
Your spiritual antenna are all the way up because that seed inside you needs to be fed.
It's an appetite change, really, and that leads to symptom 2, which is maybe the hardest one, protecting the atmosphere.
Oh, this is so vital. When you're carrying something precious from God, you become fiercely protective of your environment.
Why is that so important?
Because doubt and unbelief are spiritual toxins. They can literally damage the seed.
Yeah.
So you have to be mindful of who you're around, what conversations you're in, what you're watching. It might mean making some really hard choices about who gets access to you.
And that's where the stretching comes in. Protecting your atmosphere forces you to do that internal work she called spiritual stretching. God starts expanding your patience, your character, your capacity.
It's often uncomfortable, isn't it? Like growing pains.
Yeah.
She talked about laying aside malice, envy, evil speaking. You have to take off the old clothes because they just don't fit the new thing you're carrying.
Right. And then comes that beautiful internal confirmation, feeling movement, that little spiritual flutter or kick. She connected it to Luke, when the baby leaped in Elizabeth's womb when Mary walked in.
What's so amazing about that is that the movement is a sign for you before anyone else sees a thing. The promise kicks you. It confirms what was birthed inside you. And you need that assurance because next comes the hardest part, the gestation, the waiting.
Right. Section 4, the waiting period. A natural pregnancy is 40 weeks, but a spiritual one, it has no set timeline. It could be a day, a year. Who knows?
And that's where we get tripped up. But she made it so clear. Waiting is not wasting time. Romans 8.25 says we wait with patience. The patience you're developing in the wait is actually the muscle you'll need to handle the blessing when it comes.
The danger, then, is miscarriage, the loss of hope. And she said this happens when we start questioning God, speaking against our own blessing, or, and this is a big one, throwing temper tantrums because someone else got their blessing faster.
Oh, the comparison game is a killer, the major toxin. Because your focus shifts from God to other people's progress, and that always leads to doubt.
So prevention is everything. She laid out some really practical steps. The first and most important is ingesting the word.
It's your nourishment. It's what sustains the hope while you wait. And second is guarding your mind and heart. You have to be so disciplined about what you let in. Keeping your mind on Jesus is the only way to have real peace in that period.
And then avoiding the toxins. She talked about steering clear of the Thomas spirit, people who have to see it to believe it, and limiting negative self-talk. That's maybe the most dangerous toxin of all.
It really is. And the last proactive step is covering in prayer.
Yeah.
Putting on the full armor of God every single day. It's not just a ritual. It's getting dressed for a real spiritual battle to protect that seed.
She wrapped up that section by talking about authority. That not everyone is qualified to speak into what God has given you. We have to beware of having itching ears, running to social media for a quick word instead of trusting the one we got from God.
And at the end of the day, she brought it all back to who controls the timeline. Due dates belong to God. She quoted Habakkuk 2.3, though it tarry, wait for it, it will surely come. Our job is just to maintain the pregnancy, not to set the due date.
So as you're listening, the core message is just so powerful. We're in a season where God is birthing fresh hope. Our job is to protect and nourish that seed by eating and exercising the word no matter how long it takes.
And the final takeaway is just that this whole process requires a real relationship with God. Surrendering your will, asking for forgiveness, receiving the Holy Spirit. That's what gives the seed the substance it needs to come to pass. It's a co-creation. Your faith meets His possibility.
No matter how impossible your situation looks, if we activate that hope with faith, all things are possible. We just have to believe and protect the promise. Thank you so much for joining us for this deep dive. The ultimate message isn't just about waiting around, it's about recognizing that the symptoms, the appetite change, the stretching, that's evidence that something is happening right now. Maybe the question to mull over this week is, are we mistaking spiritual activity for spiritual inertia?
That's a profound thought to carry with you.
If this conversation resonated with you, please like and subscribe to the channel. And we want to invite you to join us live for the service every Sunday at 10 a.m. Eastern on the Transformation Ministries VB YouTube channel or their Facebook page. You can also watch replays of this whole sermon anytime on the Transformation Ministries YouTube channel. We'll see you next time.